This program is brought to you by Dolco Media. Fixing South Sudan, Ideas for the New Nation. With award-winning journalist Mading Moore.
Absolutely.
Honorable Ashwin, as you can see, the ideas of the initiatives are varied.
On July 8th, the clashes in J1 took place, which was very unfortunate.
Including country-specific ones, which
and the rebellion continue to be
Fixing South Sudan, Ideas for the New Nation.
Hello and welcome to Fixing South Sudan, your ideas for building the new nation. I am Madingo. This week on Fixing South Sudan, a view about the revitalized peace agreement from the perspective of the South Sudan Opposition Alliance. What's the contribution of the alliance in realizing a just, sustainable peace for South Sudan? And is the alliance a good idea for fixing South Sudan? Joining us in the show is Honorable Gabriel Changson Chang, the interim chairman of the South Sudan Opposition Alliance and the chairman of the Federal Democratic Party movement. We are elated to welcome him to Fixing South Sudan for the first time. Welcome to the program. How are you?
Thank you, Mr. Madingor, for giving us this opportunity.
The peace agreement was celebrated on the 31st of October. Throngs of people came and it brought you to Juba. What did you make of the momentous occasion?
Well, first and foremost, we are happy that we attended the peace celebration on the 31st of October this year. And thanks go to His Excellency the President for organizing it in the first place, and secondly, for inviting all of us as opposition leaders to come and share with our people what we have committed ourselves to, and that is the revitalized peace agreement. That occasion directly connected us with our masses, and we made the pledge, the pledge that we are committed to the agreement we have signed, we are committed to implementing it in letter and in spirit. And that is a vow that I think none of us will make a U-turn from.
The occasion happened under intense heat and people waited for hours, and thousands of people, even comparable to the crowd of the Independence Declaration. What was your personal reaction to that?
Well, it was very emotional, and it showed that our people are yearning for real peace, and that they had to demonstrate to their leaders that we are for peace and we want you to patch up your differences and give us the peace we need in South Sudan so that we go about our normal businesses as ordinary people and citizens. They suffered a lot, and I think that suffering was expressed on that day when they turned up in numbers, in huge, huge numbers. That shows that South Sudan, as any other nation that has befallen into such a situation, is now ready to move on and to close that difficult and nasty situation in which we were in. And we hope, all of us, it is a challenge to make sure that this peace becomes real and becomes sustainable, so that our people at least have to restart their livelihood the way they want.
very few analysts predicted that the prominent leaders of opposition, such as yourself, Dr. Riek, would be in Juba so soon. And the agreement is clear about when the rebels, the former rebel leaders are supposed to come to Juba, but it happened so soon. And did you expect to remain in Juba?
Well, actually, it was a difficult decision for the opposition leaders to make, to come to Juba. In the agreement, we agreed that we will celebrate jointly or together with the members of the Tigono only next year on the day of swearing in. But when the president challenged us to keep the momentum of the peace process going, then we had to make that critical decision of coming to Juba too soon. And we did it to show that we are committed to what we have signed and we don't have any reservations. Because this agreement, when it was signed in Addis, it was signed, all of us were signing on the same table, on the same day, and unlike the agreement of 2015, which was signed in several capitals and in different occasions with reservations. This one, none of us, the government, the opposition, pose any reservations, which means I think we have realized that time has come for South Sudan to come together, to reconcile, and to move forward to develop this young nation with huge resources waiting to be exploited. So we made that decision to say that our people, we are here for you. We come here to show you that we are fully committed, and we came here with our reservations. Under normal circumstances, we would have asked for our security to be taken care of by the UN system. But since we have committed ourselves to this agreement, then we don't want to put any conditions, because lives can be lost, and if we lose lives because we want to save our people, then those will be fewer than the lives we have been losing in the war.
Do you think this step is playing a big role towards confidence building, which was lacking at the start of the agreement?
Yes, that is exactly what we are intending to do. Because you see, for us, for this agreement to move forward successfully, we have to do a number of things. One, first, we as political leaders, we should have the political will to implementing this agreement. That political will alone is a very huge thing. We have demonstrated it on the 31st of October, and we hope we will build on it. Confidence building, yes, it takes time, but it takes courage for leaders to say, yes, I was wrong, yes, I accept my bad deeds, and yes, let us move on. So that confidence building is paramount, which is guided by political will. Second is that the commitment we have made to ourselves in Addis on the 12th of September and to our people on the 31st of October, that we are for this peace, then we have to make sure that we don't fall back on that promise. And that is, let us implement this agreement. We know that there will be a lot of difficulties, a lot of challenges, but if we have the political will, those challenges will be overcome. In the National Pre-Transitional Committee, it's made up of 10 members from 5 political parties: the Tigono, the IO, SOA, FDs, and OPP. the pledge we made to ourselves was that we are in that committee as a team, not representing our political colors. And that we crafted a logo that says, we make the impossible possible. And that making impossible possible brought us to Juba for the peace celebration. We said also, let us hold the bull by its horn. I think those are serious commitments, and in all our deliberations, we make sure that we work as a team and not as parties, if we were to make this agreement succeed.
The President, General Salva Kiir, has time and again apologized to the people of South Sudan for the war. And also on this program, Honorable Deng Alor, on behalf of his group, also apologized to the people of South Sudan. And as the leader of the opposition alliance, do you apologize to the people of South Sudan for the suffering that the war that you are involved in has caused to their lives?
Well, in the first place, you see this war, the signs of the war coming were very much on the wall in 2013. And we, as other political parties by then, we were cautioning, or we were talking directly to the president and his vice president that your differences in SPLM can only be resolved amicably, politically, within the SPLM party. So please, don't involve our forces, don't involve our communities. In my remarks during the celebration, I said, yes, if we have created this mess, then let us recognize that we have created it, and it is we to rectify it so that we move on. Yes, saying that to our people that you have suffered, and you have suffered because of what we have created. That is a genuine statement to make.
So you are apologizing to the people for the suffering. It started as an SPLM affair, but it engulfed the rest of you, and you became part of the war. So on your part, you are saying we are sorry
for
the suffering.
When you talk of, when you sign an agreement, always what is at the back of your mind is that what has happened was bad. And if it was bad and you are ready to leave it behind, then you open a new page, a page of reconciliation, a page of forgiveness, and a page for moving forward.
Before forgiveness, you have to atone for the wrong. So what is the wrong thing you have done to the people of South Sudan? And can you acknowledge it?
Well,
can you acknowledge your part in the war? Because your alliance also includes the armed wings, which have also been killing the people of South Sudan.
Yeah, well, I think what we are saying is that we recognize that the suffering of our people was brought about by our political differences, okay? Even if, when it comes to accountability, it differs. You can say, yes, I am sorry, yes, I have done this, but it crystals down to who did that thing.
You are not willing to say sorry empathically because you think that the blame lies elsewhere.
Well, even if I say sorry, I think it adds very little in terms of what happened, okay? But we can say sorry on behalf of those who have done it.
Let's take a break from here.
Thank you.
Welcome back to Fixing South Sudan, your ideas for building the new nation. I am Madingor, and with us in the show is Honorable Gabriel Changson Chang, the interim chairman of the South Sudan Opposition Alliance and the chairman of the Federal Democratic Party movement. We speak about building confidence, building a sustainable peace agreement. When we talk of alliance, what are we talking about?
Well, you see, South Sudan Opposition Alliance was, the idea was created in 2016, crystallized into a meeting of 6 political groups and movements in Kenya in 2017, in October 2017. That body worked out. It was at a lower level, not the leader level, not the leadership level. They drafted a number of issues that would govern an alliance, and we call it at that time a framework. In December 2017, when the peace talks resumed in Addis Ababa, we all met, including IO, including FDs. We met and discussed about how to form such an alliance. And we distributed the text of the communique to all those parties who did not attend, with the aim of putting their input. And then at the end, in the following meeting, which was February this year, we we had to go and agreed, which we did, and we signed. Those communiques were now transferred, or were now made to be the charter of the alliance, and we, all of us, including FDs, IO, we signed it on the 16th of February this year.
And the alliance is down to how many members?
But later on, the SPLM-IO withdrew, and we remained 10 members. Later on, after the signing of the peace agreement, or before that, FDs, up to today, they are still members, but they are not playing an active role in the alliance. There was another party which withdrew, and now we are left 8 active political groupings.
This is the NAS, the party of Thomas Cheriba.
Yeah, well, we have FDP, NAS, NDM, South Sudan National Movement for Change of Bokosro. We have South Sudan Liberation Movement. We have South Sudan United Movement. We have South Sudan Patriotic Movement. All those movements are under SUA as we speak.
Is the alliance a good idea for fixing South Sudan?
Yes, it is a very good idea, in the sense that, you see, when you have so many political parties and so many small parties, for that matter, then it becomes difficult. If there is one big party like the SPLM, then it will be difficult to create this political competitive atmosphere. So by creating the alliance, is that we are trying to absorb all the smaller parties into one big group, which will be a formidable group to compete with the other parties. Now, as we speak, we have 5 political groupings. You have the Tigono with, I think, 3 parties under it, IG, IO of General Taban, and then other political parties. We have IO, and then we have SUA, We have FDs and we have OPP, other political parties. Now we have narrowed the gap, I mean the size of the proliferation of political parties to 5 groups. And SUA is now number 3 in terms of the size. Secondly, SUA has contributed positively and greatly in shaping the current agreement we are talking about. Because had we not stood as a bloc, it would have been difficult for our individual parties to influence the events or the negotiation.
You call it a bloc, but it has not been cohesive and there have been defections. Do you theorize a merger at some point?
Well, you see, in any grouping or in any body with so many groups under it, it is bound to have some problems. And problems are always addressed as you move forward. What brought some of our members to be out of SUA, like General Thomas, I think was because he had a different opinion about the agreement we are talking about. But unfortunately, he was with us all along and negotiated so many protocols together with us. We signed so many protocols. And even the most critical one, which is the security arrangement, was headed, our committee was headed by him, and all of us, including himself, we signed it. So for us, those are temporary hiccups which will eventually be worked out. Always, most of the alliances, for them to survive and to be stronger, the aim is that we want to start with an alliance with different identities under it, but eventually, when confidence is built, then eventually you will have one entity under one leadership.
Do you believe that in light of the peace agreement, you may have to revisit the charter? Because in the charter, it had things like this, that the intention is to liberate South Sudan from the grip of ethnic chauvinism, despotic oppression, and institutionalized corruption. Some people read that as hate speech against certain tribes in the nation. Because when we talk about the suffering of the people, the majority of the people, regardless of wherever they reside, are suffering. But to target or to have a certain ethnic group in mind, it seems as if you were targeting certain people.
Well, I don't think it is correct, because our movement has all the 3 regions in it and has all the ethnic groupings in it. And so there would be no way why we should target a particular ethnic group under that umbrella which is inclusive, which is comprehensive. I think what we are talking about, we have made a breakthrough in addressing those issues in the agreement. When you talk of root causes, some will say, well, concentration of power in the hands of one person or a particular party. That one, we have addressed it. Now the presidency is made up of 6 members, 3 from the government and 3 from the opposition. So who is now holding the power alone?
It's
Nobody.
one thing to talk about
nobody.
It's one thing to talk about SPLM domination, but when you talk of ethnic chauvinism, that is a serious matter altogether.
Well, you see.
Is there a ruling ethnic group in this country?
What we are saying, and you go to our security sector structure, we are saying that what brought us to this crisis is, to me, I can call it a leadership failure. Okay, if we have failed to govern ourselves from 2005 to 2013 and up to now, then there must be something wrong with the way we govern ourselves. And I think we have addressed it in this agreement. And addressing it in that agreement is that now we have created checks and balances in the agreement. In the executive, no party has 2/3 majority. In the legislature, no party has a 2/3 majority. So when we want to pass crucial policy issues, the government will come to us and vice versa. That one creates a good
I understand the political gains that you have made, but when you talk of despotic oppression, institutionalized corruption, and you look at your membership, you were in the government, some of the people
Yes.
that you represent were in the government.
Yes.
Who is the change agent?
Yes.
Is it the one who is
Yes.
taken up arms against the government? That is the change agent?
You see, change, as I said earlier, change does not come about when things are normal. But when you have problems, that is the only way you can effect changes. So for us in SUA, we are saying, yes, 2013 was a tragedy, 2016 was another tragedy, but as long as we embrace South Sudan as our country, then the only way forward is to transform those tragedies into an opportunity of fixing, and I can borrow your word, of fixing South Sudan. And I think this agreement has gone a long way in doing that. Those reforms are not targeting any particular group. They are designed to make the country be governed collectively, inclusively, and in a way that will not take us back to square one.
Are you ready to make a transition from war-making to peacemaking?
Yes, this is what we have done. And I think the government, the opposition, they have just pledged themselves to doing that. And I'm sure if that political will we were talking about is there, and our commitment to peace, to this peace agreement holds, then we are on our way to reforming South Sudan and to making it a country that will be respected, that will move forward and develop its own resources. And
When we talk
resources.
of fixing South Sudan, we don't want a repeat of 2013, a repeat of 2016. Are you confident that the security arrangement will be done in such a way as to prevent the disasters of the past?
What we have done in the security arrangement is that we all recognize that the government has its forces, the opposition has its forces, but these forces, we have to create what we call national organs of the army, national security, unified police. And these bodies will be trained together so that we create these national characters in these forces. Once we have done it, and that is why the pre-transitional period has been made longer, 8 months. Now we are left with 5 months plus. And we still hope that we can still train our forces so that when we form, before we form the revitalized Tigono, they will be ready to take care of our security.
Will they revitalize?
More importantly, we are targeting the democratic transformation. And that is, if our forces become national, then they are now detached from the political parties. Once we have achieved that objective, then we as political parties will go and beg our people, please elect me to the office because I want to do A, B, C, D, without any influence from the security organs.
With the agreement, fix South Sudan.
Yes, this is the first step of fixing South Sudan. In the agreement, we talk of permanent constitution. And that permanent constitution will be developed by the people of South Sudan during the pre-transitional period. And it is that constitution that we will use for our next election. Those are very strong steps towards fixing South Sudan.
And will you yourself fix South Sudan?
Well, I will contribute to fixing South Sudan,
Have you fixed South Sudan?
as you will do. Okay, so it is not a one-man show. It is a collective effort, and it is a collective commitment. I believe our colleagues in the government and led by the president are committed to fixing South Sudan and not going back to square one again.
Honorable Gabriel Changson, Chang, thanks for coming on Fixing South Sudan.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.